Can a rookie quarterback really finish in the top 8 in 2024? I make the case for Jayden Daniels right after this intro. Welcome back to the channel. So glad you could join us. If you could do a favor and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment on our videos. Let us know how we're doing, where we're right, where we're wrong, and what you think about some of these takes that we have. And I'm going to give you a spicy one today. Jayden Daniels has been my guy. This whole offseason. Since the rookie drafts, I have been extremely in on Jayden Daniels, and all the research from some of the vids that you've already seen on this channel about what goes into making an elite quarterback. Everything says that Jayden Daniels has those things to make him an elite quarterback, and I think Jayden Daniels could do it as soon as this year. No wait and see. Jayden Daniels could help you win your fantasy league in 2024, which is why I want Jayden Daniels on all my teams. So what I did for this video specifically is I just wanted to go back and look at mobile quarterbacks in recent memory, how they do in their rookie years. Now, a lot of these quarterbacks, you'll remember, didn't play their entire rookie year. They had some moments, they had some spot starts. Some of these guys didn't play till the end of the season. A guy like Trey only got a handful of games. So obviously I don't want to count against them when they were just used as like a wildcat quarterback or just kind of that guy who comes in and change of pace to mix up the defense. But how'd they do in their starts? What was their pace? What were you looking at for fantasy points per game? And most importantly for me, what I'm going to judge these quarterbacks on is what their rushing production is. You will know if you listened or watched any of the work that I have done on rushing quarterbacks, you know how easy it is for these guys to help break your league. Rushing quarterbacks just have it so fucking easy because they have this incredibly high floor. So it really doesn't matter what they do from a passing standpoint, albeit yes, it does matter. I'm kind of being an asshole when I say that, but it does matter a lot less than what they do on the ground. So the first one I looked at last year, Anthony Richardson. Small sample size for him. Obviously, we know that he got hurt. Anthony Richardson was on pace for 18.4 fantasy points per game. He was pacing for 578 yards rushing, which may not seem like a lot, but you also have to remember that Anthony Richardson in 4 games had 4 rushing touchdowns. I think we could say maybe the yardage might have gone up, but that touchdown pace probably wasn't sustainable. Rich was knocking on the door there for a little bit, but he did fine. And I think what people were surprised about is how advanced Anthony Richardson's passing was from what we saw in college. But that's not what scored him fantasy points in the NFL last year. It was the rushing production. The passing was a nice bonus, but the rushing production was elite. I'm big in on Rich this year. I think if he can stay healthy, Rich is one of those quarterbacks definitely that could break fantasy, and I wouldn't take Jayden Daniels over Anthony Richardson, just me personally. As much as I will hype up Jayden Daniels and how in on him I am for 2024, I'm even more in on Anthony Richardson. Another guy I wanted to look at, Trey Lance. Now I know Trey Lance now is gross and disgusting, but just in Trey Lance's games that he played a significant amount of snaps and had pass attempts, Trey Lance had 18.7 points per game in his rookie year in those, and he was on pace for 912 yards rushing if he would have extrapolated that out to a full season. Justin Fields, surprisingly in his rookie year was pretty bad. The passing numbers were absolutely horrendous. That Bears offense was atrocious. Justin Fields in the games that he started was on pace for 12.6 fantasy points per game, so that is pretty abysmal. But he was pacing for 758 rushing yards on the season, but the passing was disgustingly bad. Justin Fields far and away the worst one that I looked at in recent memory, just in his rookie year. Now we obviously know what his sophomore year got a little better. He's one of those guys who was a threat for 1,000 yards rushing on the ground. I'm still a Justin Fields fan, but I can acknowledge that his rookie year didn't leave you with the warm and fuzzies. How about a guy that I wasn't in on? A guy after his rookie year I refused to get on, and kind of regretting it. I'd have a lot more shares now if I hadn't been such a dickhead. Jalen Hurts. In the last 4 games that Jalen Hurts started for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts was averaging 23.75 fantasy points per game. Absolutely fucking ridiculous, and he was on pace for 1,156 rushing yards on on the season. Another mobile quarterback in recent memory, Kyler Murray, 18.2 points per game. What he was pacing for in his rookie year. Rushing pace was 578 yards for that season. Daniel Jones, another mobile quarterback. I don't think a lot of people really predicted Daniel Jones to be as mobile as he was, but he was. Rookie year, 17.6 points per game in the games that he started, and he was on pace for just under 400 yards rushing, 388 to be exact. How about Josh Allen? 18.7 points per game in his rookie year, pace for 935 rushing yards on the season. And then Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson came in and saved the Ravens season from Joe Flacco. Kind of ironic now that we look at Joe Flacco being comeback player of the year last year. A little bit of a resurgence he had, and Lamar Jackson being the MVP. Kind of funny how that all worked out. But Lamar Jackson, 18.6 points per game in his rookie year, and he was on pace for 1,348 yards rushing. So kind of on the outlier there for the amount of rushing yards. Him and Jalen Hurts absolutely just ridiculous in their rookie years. Another thing I wanted to look at, how advanced were some of these mobile quarterbacks as passers coming out? There's a lot of metrics you can use. I just wanted to keep it short and simple. This is a 15-20 minute video tops. I don't have all day to dig into every single one of them. You can definitely go look for yourself on some of these. So I just kept it real short and simple. How good were they a passer in their final year at college? I used PFF's passing grade. I had grades for all of them, so you can go back and look at it. A-Rich, a 70.7. Trey Lance, 88.7. Justin Fields, 92. Jalen Hurts, 90.1. That's his Oklahoma year. Kyler Murray, 93.7. Daniel Jones, 81.4. Josh Allen, 66.3. Which is actually kind of funny because Josh Allen played my Iowa Hawkeyes in his last year at college, and we beat the shit out of Josh Allen. And Lamar Jackson, 75.3. So that's just their passing grades, not their total offense grade, just their passing grades. Jayden Daniels, you saw the rushing production he put up last year at LSU. Absolutely ridiculous, but his passing was actually very, very, very good. I would say maybe outside of Justin Fields and probably Kyler Murray from a college standpoint, there's not a lot of other quarterbacks on this list that were as advanced as a passer and as refined as a passer as Jayden Daniels is currently coming into the NFL. A-Rich, no. Trey Lance, no. Trey Lance was the 1AA school, North Dakota State, so the competition definitely wasn't like Jayden Daniels is facing in the SEC. Maybe you can make the argument for Jalen Hurts too. I get it. There's a lot of Jalen Hurts fans from when he was in college. I didn't personally see it, so we can just put that as an if. I'm just talking about coming out of college, not where they actually are right now. Kyler Murray, yes. Daniel Jones, hell no. Josh Allen, hell no. And Lamar Jackson, no. It took Lamar Jackson quite a bit to get as advanced as he is as a passer, and it's nice to see that growth. I think Greg Roman and company didn't do a very good job of helping him develop there in his early years, and now Lamar Jackson is really cooking and showing what he can do. But Jayden Daniels, extremely advanced as a passer. One other thing I wanted to highlight about Jayden Daniels too is just the level of competition. So whatever you think about college football or the SEC is notorious for being one of the most talented conferences in the entire country, which is why there's so many SEC players drafted every single year, why your first round is absolutely littered with players out of the SEC conference. I know some of it gets overblown and there's good football teams all over the country, but SEC defenses are no joke. So for Jayden Daniels to go in there and put up the season that he did, win the Heisman through the air and on the ground, I want to put it into context of how good of a season it was for him, because we have seen some dynamite seasons out of SEC quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, for example, in 2019 lit the absolute world on fire. Here's the thing though. Let's look at total yards. The total yardage leader in a single season by SEC players. Joe Burrow is going to be number one with 6,039 yards. Absolutely incredible. Johnny Manziel, his redshirt freshman season. Do you remember that one where he came out? Johnny Manziel went for 5,116 yards. And do you want to take a gander at who number 3 was? If you guessed Jayden Daniels, you're right. It was Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels beat Johnny Manziel's 2013, his redshirt sophomore season. Jayden Daniels had 4,946 total yards. Johnny Manziel's sophomore season, 4,873. Bryce Young, 2021, 4,872. So Jayden Daniels was above him. Some notables on here. Do you remember the Mississippi State years for Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott was kind of touted as Mississippi State's version of Tim Tebow. I don't think a lot of people thought him too advanced as a passer. He was more of a big running quarterback, but Dak Prescott had 2 absolutely incredible years at Mississippi State in total yardage, 44.35 and 43.81. Good 9th and 10th on this list. And then this was probably the most shocking one for me. There's 2 guys on this list list a lot farther down than what Jayden Daniels just put up last year, and they're guys we all fondly remember, one of them being Cam Newton. Cam Newton, who absolutely carried that Auburn Tigers team to a national championship in 2010. Cam Newton, total offense, not as good as Jayden Daniels, surprisingly. And then Tim Tebow, Mr. Florida, Mr. mid-2000s college football. That was Tim Tebow right there. Tim Tebow, not as good total yardage season as Jayden Daniels. Actually kind of surprising that those two are on there. So here's one of the things I'm looking at. Total yardage in college, right? How good they were as a prospect. There's a lot of metrics to look. I'm just choosing some of the simplest and easiest ones to put context on it. But Jayden Daniels, I know, is a good prospect coming out. Jayden Daniels can run. He's highly mobile. Jayden Daniels also can throw the football. He can throw the piss out of the football. I think you saw that, and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. will thank him profusely for his ability to throw the rock around. And I think Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin and Luke McCaffrey will really thank him at the next level too. Jayden Daniels is getting a lot of hype right now. A lot of teams, NFL anonymous sources, saying they're absolutely scared of what Jayden Daniels could do to the league. Take it for what it's worth. It is conjecture season, but it's better than the alternative of saying Jayden Daniels looks rough at mini camps and OTAs. He looks terrible. He can't pick up the offense, whatever it is. Jayden Daniels is garnering a lot of hype. And historically, we're right in the range of these rookie quarterbacks almost stepping in and almost being guaranteed somewhere around 18 to 19 fantasy points per game when they start in their rookie year. And unlike some of these guys on the list, there's no indication that Jayden Daniels is going to sit for any amount of time in 2024. It really sounds like Jayden Daniels is going to come out and be the starter from day one, and I think a lot of people are expecting that. So if Jayden Daniels comes out and starts the entirety of 2024, Jayden Daniels can put up somewhere around 800, 900 rushing yards. The passing ceiling that he has to hit is not that high, and I think with Zach Ertz, Cliff Kingsbury offense, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Luke McCaffrey, Brian Robinson, and Austin Eckler, and some slight improvements to the offensive line, Jayden Daniels might even push for 20 fantasy points per game. And before you tell me that I'm absolutely crazy, let's go back in the time machine, back to 2012, when another quarterback that Washington took second overall, who was highly mobile, coming off a Heisman Trophy, also lit the league on fire, and that was one Robert Griffin III. Robert Griffin III that season, 21.5 fantasy points per game, good enough for fourth in the entire league at quarterback. Robert Griffin went for 3,200 passing yards, only 20 touchdowns through the air, but he did run for 815 yards and 7 more touchdowns on the ground. And if you're telling me Jayden Daniels couldn't hit those numbers in 2024, you're lying to me. You're lying to your goddamn self.
I wish you weren't a liar.
Because Jayden Daniels sure as hell can hit those numbers. So Jayden Daniels, man, I probably said his name 47 times. Put a counter down there, Brian. How many times I said Jayden Daniels? Let's see if we break 50. It'll be a record. But I am all in on Jayden Daniels for this year and the future. And you can get Jayden Daniels not for a lot more than what you have to pay for some of these other quarterbacks who have no chance of hitting the ceiling that Jayden Daniels provides. Sorry, Jordan Love. Sorry, Tua. I'm sorry, CJ Stroud. It's Jayden Daniels season, everybody. If you like what's going on over here, please like, subscribe, comment away, turn the notification bell on so you don't miss anything going on over here at South Harmon, and check out all the great content creators that we got over here at South Harmon. Fizzle Fridays, Adam and me, Wednesdays and Saturdays. We got T-Rock writing articles. Those drop whatever T-Rock feels like he wants to drop a little nugget on you. T-Rock will drop it. Koopa's podcast on Saturday. Eric's podcast comes out on Thursday. Plus, he's been doing a real good job with him and Koopa doing all these team previews. Make sure you go check those out on the podcast feed. That's all I got for everybody. Appreciate y'all. Love ya. I'm out of this thing. Peace.